I've been watching you. You've been hurting too. Right, let's say your service is exceptional at every single point. It would be a real shame if the customer experience was ruined by something as seemingly trivial but universally impactful as mishandling the waiting. Because in the eyes of your customers, frustration of waiting can overshadow the excellence of the service they receive afterwards. However, with some strategic application or some insights, waiting doesn't have to be a source of dissatisfaction, but rather we can make it your brand strength, and it can even be an opportunity to enhance your entire brand experience. They say patience is a virtue, but whoever coined that phrase probably never stood in a long line or waited endlessly for a customer service response whilst your entire business is on fire. And waiting can evoke a cocktail of emotions: frustration, boredom, and sometimes even resentment towards a brand. And science confirms what common sense suggests. Long or poorly managed waits can derail an otherwise stellar customer journey. But the intriguing part is that not all waiting is created equally. We've all experienced a situation where waiting felt shorter than it actually was. But what makes the difference? And that difference is how you can transform this pain point into a moment of engagement and even delight for your brand. So instead of letting waiting be the Achilles heel of your customer experience, why not make it your hidden strength? And if you want to do this easier and faster without sacrificing your precious time, check out the links down below. But let's get into it. So the first and easiest way is to simply get people started. The customer has arrived at the door of your service, caught their eye with your content. They see you as someone who has the potential to solve the problem. Your top of the funnel strategy work. Now it's time to do the job. This is the perfect opportunity to get them a step closer to the desired position, because when your capacity for new clients is full, you cannot just throw your customer in a waiting list and just leave them there and simply discard them. Waiting becomes far less frustrating when customers feel like they're already making progress towards their desired goal. And this isn't just about reducing the objective waiting time, but it's about reframing the entire experience so that the customer feels their time is being used productively. And the secret lies in perceived progress, which is also called the goal grading effect. This is a cognitive bias that describes how people increase their efforts as they get closer to achieving their goal. And this is exactly what we're doing with getting people started. When people feel like they've started on their journey, they're less likely to dwell on the where. And this taps into that innate desire for movement and achievement, where even small symbolic actions can provide a sense of forward momentum to their goal. So I don't know if you've ever been, I haven't, but I've seen the annoying clips of Disney parks. Their staging areas are designed not just to manage lines, but to immerse visitors in the experience before they even reach the ride. They do that by interacting with the staff and engaging in pre-ride activities like forming teams, assigning roles, getting assaulted by people in costumes basically. And as a result, the visitors feel like the fun has already begun. And this reduces the frustration of standing in line because their minds are focused on the narrative and not the where. This is important not because of its trickery and its effectiveness, but it has a measurable impact on customer satisfaction. Because there was a research at AT&T I've seen that found that how quickly a customer is acknowledged or engaged directly influences their likelihood to recommend your brand. And the sooner the customer feels attended to, the more value and respected they feel, leading to a more positive ripple effect on their overall experience with your brand. But you don't need the Disney level theatrics to implement this strategy, and it's as simple as some thoughtful actions that can make a big difference. So for example, if you've been to a healthcare clinic, some walk-ins have nurse collect preliminary information like symptoms, personal details, that make patients feel like their appointment has been started, even if they're still waiting to see a doctor. Or in e-com, you can allow your customers to start filling out their shipping details or customizing their order while the payment gateway loads, for example, which creates that sense of progressing through the purchasing journey. But the key here isn't necessarily to shorten the waiting time. It is to shift the customer's perception of it. Because when customers feel like they've started the process, their frustrations start to diminish and their satisfaction grows. And by actively engaging them during that waiting period, demonstrate that you respect their time and create a more seamless and enjoyable experience, because it's about increasing their engagement with your service and product in one way or another that gets them closer to their goal, creating that feeling of partial ownership of their customer journey, the illusion of control of their journey to their desired goal. And this brings us to the next step, which is getting started means to get them occupied. Waiting can be a frustrating experience, but it's not always the actual time spent. Instead, it's how the time feels. Behavioral science basically reveals this, and it says keeping customers occupied during their wait can make time seem to pass more quickly, leaving them with a better overall impression of your service. Let's say, in a scenario, you've made it to your dream destination. The flight was smooth, but now you're stuck at a baggage carousel, staring at the conveyor belt as nothing happens. Every second feels like an eternity. So what happened at one of these airports in America is that this issue was a big deal, and the complaints started to roll in because the waiting times were pouring in, and even though the waiting times were only around 7 minutes to get from their plane to their baggage, it took 1 minute for passengers to walk from the gate to the carousel. The executives of the airport came up with a solution, and what they did was they moved their arrival gates farther away and redirected bags to the furthest carousel, and the walking time was increased significantly, but the complaints vanished. And why is that? Because the passengers were occupied with walking to collect their baggage. They spend that time walking instead of waiting, and as the research shows, an occupying mind perceives time as moving faster. But this principle doesn't require major logistical changes. Another study I read somewhere was a retail study, and what they found is that simply installing a TV above a checkout counter, which showed random content like weather updates, reduced the perceived waiting time, and customers who had something to watch whilst they were standing in the line reported that they felt that the wait was shorter than those who didn't. But you might be thinking, does the content matter? So in an Italian restaurant where customers waiting in line that were exposed to 3 scenarios: no TV, a TV with random content, and a TV with context conjurant content, a video about making pizza. And the result was that while both TVs made the wait feel shorter, the context congruent content was even more effective. So the lesson is pretty clear here, is that people dislike waiting because they feel like it wastes their time that they could be spending on something more productive or enjoyable. And by providing engaging distractions or options to take control, can idle moments into opportunities for a better customer experience. And by keeping these customers occupied, you're not only helping them pass time, but you're only helping yourself, because you're shaping their perception of your brand as thoughtful, engaging, and attentive to their needs. And one of the better ways to reshape the perception is by being transparent and letting the customers know how long it is going to take. Uncertainty is one of the biggest enemies of positive customer experiences. When customers are left in the dark about what's happening or how long they'll have to wait, their patience wears thin. We all hate it. Frustration begins to build. And this isn't just anecdotal, because behavioral economics tells us that uncertainty is deeply ingrained in our cognitive biases, as when people don't know what's going on, they instinctively feel uneasy and even threatened sometimes. Because, let's say, imagine this: you're waiting on hold for a customer service agent, you've been waiting for a while, and all you hear is the generic message, like, your call is important to us, please hold, and then nothing. And it doesn't help much, does it? The statement is vague, offers no timeline, and does little to ease your frustration, and you probably become more frustrated and have an increase in resentment. But let's say you hear you are the 4th caller in line, your estimated time is 15 minutes. Suddenly, uncertainty is replaced with clarity, and your frustration slowly begins to diminish. Why does certainty matter? Well, it's because when customers know how long they'll wait, they feel more in control of the situation. Even if the wait is relatively long, having clear information makes it more tolerable, because without this information, people's minds often assume the worst case scenarios, which amplifies the negative emotion and dissatisfaction with your brand. Take the example of a delayed flight. It's one thing to hear the flight is delayed due to weather conditions. I mean, that's helpful, but it's incomplete. And then it's another to hear the flight is delayed due to weather conditions, will begin to board in 30 minutes. And by adding that timeline, the airline removes the ambiguity, harming the passengers and making the delay feel less agonizing. But the main goal here with eliminating certainty isn't just about sharing timelines. It's about showing customers that you respect their time and their concerns, because a simple indicator of a time frame is better than nothing. As mentioned, we do not like uncertainty and we love to be in control of our world, or at least the idea of it. And by providing these clear indicators of a time frame, you provide exactly this. You give someone that certainty of arrival to their desired situation and give them back their control over the situation, as now they can work around the waiting times and spend it in a way that they find engaging, which in fact works in your favour, because this would be the perfect segue to get people started on your service and get them occupied to take the first step to their desired goal. But it all begins with understanding what your customers' main concerns and barriers are to take the next step. From there, you can design the perfect customer journey where if your service is full or product is out of stock, the waiting can become your strength and become a crucial aspect of the journey, where they can begin to feel the tangible or intangible benefits of the service or products that you have, and getting them closer to that desired goal. But most importantly, thank you very much for watching. Please check out the links down below if you want to make your customer journey addicting, so people not only come back with themselves, but with their inner circle. Like, share and comment, and have a great day.